I mean, if they come here, they're looking for solutions.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it's even our teachers who give us some kind of career guidance. Your teacher told you were going to be an English teacher. My teacher told me I was going to be a media personality.
And there we go.
And here I am. You know, so it's kind of like such an important space where you discover talent. So tell us about some of the developments that have been added over the years to kind of make this journey of a growth of a child that studies here easier.
You know, Cindy, you'll remember we always try to make the class teacher be the most important person for that particular child. It's unfortunate we do have 40 learners per class, 36 to 40 per class, which is a lot of learners. And so it's very difficult, for example, for me as the principal to have a personal relationship with all 976 learners. But it's much easier for a teacher with 36 learners in front of them to get to know learners on a one-on-one basis. And that's something that we encourage from our class teachers. We say, build a relationship with the child. Know where the child is coming from. Know how he's coming to school every day. Does he take public transport? Does he have a private transport that brings him to school? Does mum and dad drop him off? How does he come to school? Who's he living with at home? Does Granny have sugar? Does she have pressure? Is mum sickly? Is she a homemaker? Does she work? Where does she work? And once a teacher has this information from a learner, you can then build up a relationship with that child, because if the child is absent from school, it's so much more difficult for a child to come and say, ma'am, I wasn't at school today because I had to take my granny to get her grant. No, but I know that your granny does not get a grant. I know that your granny does A, B, C, D, E, F. So if that relationship is strong between the teacher and the learner, they are able to build a bond. And once that bond is there, then you have those conversations that you're talking about between the teacher and the child. And I think that is so important. We can then create opportunities as a school. We picked up that we have a few learners that are good with coding and robotics. And this is a relatively new subject. And I'm so proud of one of my teachers, Ms. Darius. She sort of took that portfolio and ran with it. She was able to take grade 8 and 9 learners and train them in coding and robotics and made it so exciting for them. And recently, they've entered so many competitions, but recently they actually represented South Africa in the tangible coding and robotics competition, and they came 66th out of 360 countries.
Oh, wow.
Which to me is fantastic. And they had that exposure. They went through the district level, they went through the provincial level, national, and eventually they represented our country. So I think it's about creating opportunities, whether it's a sport, and the way you and I are working now with the garden, as I said to you. You know, we always talk about one home, one garden. We need to lead these kids and show them what do we mean by one home, one garden. Our kids are underprivileged, many of them. I think over 50% of our kids actually receive a SASA grant. And so we need to be able to keep our school fees, for example, at a reasonable level, because we know these are the indigent communities that we're servicing. And so we can take a step further. Those kids that are interested in agriculture, let's make a school garden, as massive as it is. Let's bring them in. Time to go home. Take a cabbage. Take it home with you. Take some spinach. Take a lettuce. Go home. At least there's a meal for the family. But even a step further, show me some pictures of the garden that you created at home, even if it's a meter by a meter. So I think these are the skills that we try to impart to our learners. We have a student that's actually very talented with drawing. And that's another opportunity we're trying to expose him to, because we do not have art as a subject. But we are able to show him that, you know, your talents are appreciated, and we're taking you to this flea market to try and sell a painting or two. So even if he doesn't sell a painting, it shows him that there's an avenue for him to pursue once he's finished with grade 12. I think it's all about creating opportunities for learners and giving them those experiences of life, you know, and opportunities that they can pursue later on once they've had their matric.
So what does the future look like now? I mean, 33 years in, you've climbed the ladder, you know what, every level, HOD, deputy, principal, how are you planning to retire? And what would the school be like next to you?
You know, one of my absolute goals when I became a principal was to ensure that my management team was so empowered that the school did not need me. And I must say, I've absolutely fulfilled that agenda.
Nice.
I have the most dedicated staff, the teachers. My management team is so strong, they're so knowledgeable, they're so empowered. That they really don't need me. You know, I always say every now and then I just have to touch.
Yeah.
That's my new game now. I just touch. You know, I look, oh, this is going off, just touch a little bit. So I'm very proud. It's not about one person, it's absolutely a team. It's 100% a team. And I'm sure you see with the garden, it's a team. You don't even see me there. You'll see me once in a while with the hose pipe in my hand, but basically it's the team. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Which is more important, to contemplate the infinitive or to dig ditches? They're equally important. The one that's dreaming, the vision, the goals, but the one that must implement it, the idealist and the pragmatist. So they're both needed, and I think that's where the key is. To understand your role in a chain within a school. And I think that's what this team is, that's why this team is so successful, is because they work well together. I'm not saying we're perfect, you know, we do have our moments, and those moments are important because they create growth. You know, when you have those spats with each other, then we see, you know, okay, this is something I need to work on. This is the problem, you know. So, and that's important because we grow in those uncomfortable spaces.
And sitting at home listening to this, very proud as a parent, and I'm excited that you guys got a garden. I see it every TikTok now and again. So how do we help as a community?
Don't run away from us, run to us. Because often we find over the years as parents, they really fight to get their kids into the school. I'll sit with over 500 applications, 500 applications for grade 8. And like this year, for example, we only have 170 spaces for next year, but we had well over 400 applications. And it's regrettably that we can't take every child. But what happens is once the parent gets the child into the school, then somehow they disappear. They come back in matric when the child is in matric. So I just want to say, attend parent meetings, you know. When you need to fetch your child's reports, come to the school yourself. Don't delegate it to an uncle or an aunt. You know, come to school, engage with the teachers, engage with the learner, you know, at school with the teacher. Come to the governing body meetings, join the governing body of the school. Come to the finance meeting, the budget meeting. You know, when we're talking about school fees, then no one attends that meeting. You know, I think that we had a budget meeting 2 weeks ago. We had 40 parents at the meeting, 40, and yet we have 976 kids in the school. So I think that is our challenge, you know, as parents. I want to say, come to school. If you feel there's something you're unhappy about, come to school, come and talk about it. If there's something that you're happy about, come to school, come and talk about it.
Because some of these parents are not aware of there's some activities like the garden.
And the jump start.
And the jump starts, and you've got all these things. And if you'll have these meetings, they'll be forcing or even assisting their kids to participate in these extra activities.
Yeah. Okay. And it will help us so much, you know, if you came to school, even if you just visited, can I see my child? And then we can say, you know, we've been talking about this uniform, or we've been talking about this haircut, simple things, you know. Here at Estcourt Secondary, we have a natural hair policy. You know, we believe that learners must not have the braids and the weaves and the hair pieces. And the reason is we say they must learn as young ladies and gentlemen to manage their natural hair so that they can grow up with the skill to do so. When they're older, they can do as they please. But at the moment, they must embrace what God gave me. And they learn very well to work with their natural hair. So that's something else as well that we can talk to our parents and explain the reasoning behind all of the rules that we have at the school.
So the future looks great. Sustainability is the name of the school.
That is the name of the game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, and we're wishing everybody to be sustainable, to be self-sufficient, as we should be.
Absolutely. You know, Cindy, you know the challenges that
Yeah.
the KZN Department of Education has when it comes to finances. And so as a school, I think as a principal, we have to come up with ways to be sustainable. One of the ways that we've introduced is the digging of a borehole.
Yeah.
Just to get away from that issue of the kids having to be dismissed because there's no water at school, and water is a basic service. And so also, you know, the next thing we need to look at is some kind of renewable energy.
Yeah.
Whether it's solar, whether it's wind, that's something we need to explore, because that will then cut our electricity account. And if we're able to do that, we can do so much more.
You told me about how each class is digital now.
Yes, I was
Because it's not when we were here.
yeah, talk and talk.
Talk and talk. Yeah, so it's all digital. We're moving towards aligning with society. Where society
Absolutely.
is moving, you also must lead the way as the school.
Absolutely. We talk about the fourth and fifth industrial
Yeah.
revolution.
Yeah.
Our school is now a smart school. Very proud of that. Every single class, we no longer have chalkboards, we have whiteboards. We have smart boards, we have interactive screens, we have interactive projectors, we have interactive televisions,
Good Wi-Fi.
and so we've got Wi-Fi, satellite dish, and so we're working at a very digital level. We are now moving into the space of Google Classroom. We are moving into some offline, online and offline spaces. So, you know, COVID taught us many lessons.
Yeah.
COVID really humbled us in a lot of aspects. And I think the children at school suffered the most. So we have to come up with initiatives that, should we go through something like that again, what will be our alternative? And I think as a school, we have reached that place where we can say, this is the way that we are going to move, should something like that occur again. So we are a small school at the moment, very proud of that. And our teachers as well are very integrated in terms of their digital literacy level. So that's also something that's very positive as well.
Perfect.